this is Kylie from Hello Crafter, and today I'm going to show you how I made these cards using Stampin' Up's Suit and Tie dies and also the Well Suited Designer Series papers. These products are in the January to June mini catalogue on page 66 and 67. So the dies will cut out all the bits and pieces that you need to create these lovely suits and shirts. These ones look like a bit like polo shirts, a bit more casual, so you can create all different styles of clothing for the men in your life. These papers are actually really versatile too. There's some lovely florals and paisleys in there as well, so they're not just for mail cards. There's some really nice generic patterned papers in there as well. I can't show you the actual papers because I've pretty much nearly run out. I've used a couple of packs of these already. They're really nice. So I'll show you the dies, the suit and tie dies. These have everything you need to create your suits and shirts. There's bow ties, normal ties, collars, pockets and braces and brace clips, all sorts in there. Buttons as well. If you took my April card class and you got the kit through the post, then all the bits and pieces are inside the kit to create 2 cards, all die cut for you, so all the work's been done for you, and you just need to follow this tutorial to show you how I put those cards together. You have materials to make a more formal style card with the suit jacket and the shirt and the tie, and then one that's a little bit more casual, made to look a little bit like a polo shirt. So we're going to start with the more formal one. So these are the pieces that I've already cut. Got a plain white card base, just an A5 card folded in half, and then I have cut a piece that is the same size as the card front, so it's actually 10.5 centimetres by 14.8 centimetres. And I've used one of the dies to cut this V shape in the top. So I've used another die to cut the collar out of the same pattern of paper. I have a tie and the little knot for the tie. I've got a white collar here. I've got some buttons and one of these little pieces that form the top of a pocket. And I've got a little piece of this crumb cake colour cardstock, and that will go behind my white collar, and it will give the illusion of a sort of skin coloured background. The tie pieces are just die cut from plain cardstock, but I'm actually going to emboss these to give some texture to make it look a little bit more like fabric. And this is the Tasteful Textures embossing folder. So if you place your pieces in there and then run that through your cut and emboss machine. So I have done that there, emboss those pieces. So I've also got a piece here that I've cut out using the pocket die, and I've embossed that the same way as the tie, and I'll chop that down to form a handkerchief to go in the little pocket. So the order in which you stick things on is probably the most important bit here, and you want to start by gluing down the main bit of the jacket. However, you just need to make sure that you're able to slot the tie behind there. So I'm going to put glue on the back of this piece, but just avoid this area here. I don't want any glue there, just so that I can slide that tie in a moment. So I'm going to put glue around the edges here and just leave this bit at the moment. Stick that on the card front. It should line up all around the edges. Like this. And then the next bit to go in is the collar. So decide if you want this flesh coloured piece in or not. You don't have to, you can just leave it white. If you do, then I just put a little bit of glue just on the edges of this V and stick that down. Just line it up so that the top is flush with the top of the collar. It does like to bend a little bit, so just be careful. And then that can just be glued down onto the top of the card here, just in between those, the V. And then again, you just need to be able to slide that tie in under the collar and under the shirt. So I'll just put a little bit of glue just on there. I'll slide the bottom in first. And then slide the top bit under the collar and just have everything. I'm actually going to leave it bent just slightly like this, just so that it gives it some dimension. Not too much because it'll flatten down in the envelope, but just a little. Then there's the knot section of the tie, and again I'm just going to tuck that in, and that also adds a little bit of extra dimension to the tie as well. Then I'm going to take my jacket collar and carefully glue that down, and I'm going to put glue just along the edge of the V, and I'm going to leave the outside of the collar free from glue, and I'll show you why in a moment. So putting a little bit of glue just right down to the tip and along that edge, and just carefully lay it down. It should line up with that V that you've got in your base, and just carefully stick that down. And once that's stuck down, you can then just with your finger just lift up the edges of that collar slightly, and that also creates a little bit more of an illusion of it being 3D. And lastly, just these little sections. I've got this little piece here which is like the top of a pocket. My buttons, so because they're quite small, I'll put two little spots of glue there, and then place the buttons onto those dots of glue. And then this is a little bit big, so I'm going to cut it down. I'm going to chop the sides off a little bit, and then also chop it down that way too. So the stitched point is facing upwards, and I can just stick that down at the top of the pocket. Just going to slide it under a little bit. I can still do that because my glue's not quite dry. There. So that's your smart suit card. And the bits for your more casual card are similar, but a little bit simpler. So the first thing you do is just get the background piece stuck down on your card front. Again, it's cut to exactly the same size as the front of your card, so it just covers all the white. And then the same thing with the collar. If you want this more or less flesh coloured piece of card stuck on, just get that stuck behind. Make sure it's all straight. And stick that down right in the middle at the top, right at the top. This is the piece where your buttons go, so you may also want to chop this down a little bit. It might be a bit long for you. Tuck that under there, stick that down. Just make sure it's straight. And you've got a pocket here, a full pocket, so that can be glued down there. And this piece which goes at the top of the pocket. And then finally you've got your buttons. So there's 4 buttons there, so just space those as evenly as you can on this piece. Got my little glue dots on there. You could actually use proper glue dots if they're small ones. And the good thing about this glue is it gives you a few seconds to move them if they're not quite straight. And there's your more casual card. And I'm sure you can think of someone suitable to give these to. I've left the sentiments off these ones, but you could always add a happy birthday or a thank you or happy Father's Day or the word dad or whatever onto those. And I'll show you another one that my team member Joyce made. Is using the same dies, but she's made it to look like scrubs for an NHS worker, so that's a really clever idea as well. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions about any of the products that I've used, please just drop me a message, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.